Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm Sylvester here. We are back for some more yet again for the likes of the Merxy Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Wii U / Nintendo Switch. So, previously, in the last weekend or something like that, is that we did manage to play through the Special Cup, despite the fact that we did manage to able to fail at the end by specifically going for 5th place in Rainbow Road. But aside from all that though, we actually did this in a pretty decent run through. So even then, not perfect by any means, but either way though, still decent enough as it goes by. So even then, today for this episode, and especially noticeable for tomorrow's video also, but we'll get to that and enjoy it at the very end of this video specifically, now is the fact that we're about to get things started with the Retro Cup. So even then, like always, just like in Mario Kart DS, Wii, and as well as 7, that we're actually going to be coming across into the previous Mario Kart tracks from the Mario Kart's past. So even then, for the sake of this video, I think we should probably go ahead and select Koopa Troopa this time around, because after all, the next cup we're going to be hit into is of course the Shell Cup will be up next, when it comes to the forms of any other cups in this game actually has to offer. So either way, we'll figure we might actually just go ahead and select Koopa Troopa for this point today. Now as far as tomorrow's goes, well, we might as well be able to actually point things out and join at some point in tomorrow. So yeah, because, you know, today's day is the forms of the 26th of October in 2019 for this point today. And I think this will actually be the last uploading schedule for, well, not so much for right now, but until tomorrow anyway. That we'll point things out right enjoying tomorrow anyway. So, anyways, let's get into the forms of the Shell Cup. And, you know, just like before, as I said before, it usually takes place in the previous Mario Kart tracks past, ranging from Super Nintendo all the way up to the Nintendo 3DS. Because, you know, Mario Kart 8 was originally a Wii U title, but then it's got ported over to the Nintendo Switch, so that makes it a little bit more of a better experience when it comes to like playing it on the go, as well as like, you know, extra features and all that stuff. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that. So the first track, as you can see right there, we are actually going back into Mario Kart Wii as the actual track itself, which appears to be Moo Moo Meadows, based on for the likes of Mario Kart Wii on the second course in the Mushroom Cup. So even then, the noticeable differences compared to the original version of that particular course than the likes of how it does in Mario Kart Wii, or in this case in this particular variation, is that, as you can tell, it's almost like a actual sunset theme instead of the forms of like some sort of like a daylight setting. But even then, and also because of the forms of the actual gliding system, as far as I'm aware. And everything else though, plays exactly feels very much identical to the forms of how it does it in the original version, except of course the actual graphical fidelity, as well as the forms of, you know, more new characters and all that stuff, and also same applies for, you know, the actual gliding section as well. So even then, although I actually want to point things out right away, I honestly think that the gliding section might be optional for my taste, because, well, I just don't know why I just managed to able to actually ignore that particular gliding section, because as a result of this kind of stuff for that tradition, that since we actually did play through the Mario Kart Wii version of that specific course back to back, and realized about the fact that it's actually like not too much of a, you know, too much of the actual challenge or something like that. I've no idea why I'm trying to explain about this though, and also because as you can see on the map, we almost gonna be overlapping Link, although it won't be so much of it though because of the actual blue spiny shell's appearance. So either way though, we might as well be able to actually decide to take a hit and all that stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a nuisance though, Sylvester. It is pretty much a nuisance, but either way though, we did manage to able to finish in first place. So, and hopefully though, by the time with the forms of this cup, as well as the future cups throughout the majority of the weekend, well, hopefully we can able to actually gather the first place position when it comes to every single races. So, at least we're hoping that will be the exceptional thing to it. So, anyway, so next track we have is Mario Circuit from Mario Kart Super Circuit, which, because if you couldn't tell, of the actual GBA text right there. So, now I think this is originally from, you know, as I said before, Mario Kart Super Circuit, and is actually by the forms of the Flower Cup on the first track, which I sort of remember that correctly, but I haven't really get that much in terms of the forms of playing through Super Circuit recently, because, well, after all, we were gonna do that particular Let's Play at some point in the future though, alongside with Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64, as well as Mario Kart Double Dash, so that we can able to actually gather every single of those Mario Kart Let's Plays for those of you, everyone out there, who are able to actually enjoy the actual Let's Plays like this one. Especially noticeable with Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart DS, which I'm pretty sure that most of the actual audience out there who even seem to able to really enjoy our Let's Plays of Mario Kart DS as well as Mario Kart Wii. Although I realized about something at the end of the day, the only least appealing Let's Plays where we did manage to tackle through when it comes to Mario Kart stuff, well, honestly, we'll have to believe is the forms of Mario Kart 7, because, well, I'm pretty sure it's because of the actual lack of quality and all that stuff. We were expecting if we could able to get ourselves a 3DS capturing device and to able to actually make the quality a little bit more nicer and better. But at the moment right now, we're still saving up with, you know, some majority of the items, such as like, you know, for instance, for example, there is a Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection coming onto the PlayStation 4 next year, and as well as the forms of some other 2020 items, such as the forms of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle from Bikini Bottom Hydrated, which is essentially a remake of the forms of the original game back on the GameCube, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and you name it. So, but even then though, I don't know which version we might actually get for SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom remake. I think we might actually go for the PlayStation 4 version, which I think we've already said this like loads of times already. So even then, there's no point for able to actually mention about that kinds of stuff. Alright, so that concludes the forms of this particular you know, Mario Circuit, as you can see right there, from Mario Kart Super Circuit. And the only major differences on that track compared to the originals is that obviously they actually include the anti-gravity section during the forms of that very nifty contraption, I have to say. So anyway, so speaking of which, let's move on to the next returning track from the forms of, you know, from the forms of this particular game right here. As you can see, we're actually driving through Cheep Beach, based off from the forms of Mario Kart DS, which I think that was originally from the third course on Mushroom Cup. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that particular part right there. And obviously a noticeable difference is, of course, you can now actually drive on the actual underwater portion a lot more faster than the forms of how it does in Mario Kart DS counterparts. And also, similarly, is the fact that you notice on the original version of Cheep Beach from the likes of Mario Kart DS is the fact that you can able to actually drive on this part no problem. However though, they now actually get ourselves not only the actual trick ramps this time around though, but it's also the fact that we actually come across into the hang gliding section, as well as the forms of driving underwater, as I said before. But also at the very end of that particular course, they actually now start able to actually add in a actual mud of dirt, which means that you would able to actually slow down every now and then. So either way though, it might take us some time alone whenever you're trying to able to practice on that particular version if you're used to with you know, Mario Kart DS as far as I'm aware. But either way though, it still looks relatively easy. In fact, between you know, between this cup as well as the forms of the banana cup, those two cups might be dissectively easy if you manage to able to actually get a pattern down with and all that stuff. So once again, we're getting owned by the blue shells, of course. So either way though, to be expected at this point. So yeah, I do apologize with the actual waving microphone sound, I do apologize for that. But anyway, a few things we want to explain about this, since after all that today's day is of course the 26th of October, of course, in 2019. So naturally speaking, we're almost nearly towards the end of October. And also, judging by the fact that we actually did manage to recently went into today, now's the forms of the Pokemon Center London, which for what I've noticed is actually pretty cool actually. I mean, you get like the Pokemon Sword and Shield playable demo on that particular place, as well as the forms of several other Pokemon collectibles and all that stuff. Even though, despite the fact that we're not actually a Pokemon fanatic per se, but we actually become like a good time with the forms of playing through the spin-off titles, most notably with our nostalgic video games of all time, which is of course Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo 64, which I kind of wish if they actually bring out the actual remake of the game or something like that, but unfortunately though, things didn't able to actually make it turned out to be, so yeah, at least as far as I can usually think about this for the time, Sonic, so, and I really do apologize for me for able to actually get my dry throat at this point, because either way though, whatever you're trying to do, commentary and stuff like that, like always, is that my throat is almost gonna get dried up, so hopefully it'll be fixed until tomorrow. So as you can see right there, we're now actually driving through, or actually going through the actual final course in the Shell Cup of all things in Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twisting in the end, folks. And that was the forms of Toad's Turnpike, originally from Mario Kart 64. So I'm very glad that was the case though, is because, well, after all, we actually got almost every single or every single tracks returning so far, from the likes of how it does it in the forms of, well, in most other Mario Kart games. Like, we got Luigi Raceway from the 3DS installment, which is of course Mario Kart 7, and Moo Moo Farm, and as well as the forms of, well, usually Moo Moo Farm from the likes of Mario Kart DS, and also both Koopa Troopa Beach and Karimari Desert from Mario Kart 7 also, and also that the forms of, well, let's just say, you know, right now Toad's Turnpike on Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and all that stuff, and also with the forms of Frappy Snowland and Choco Mountain from Mario Kart DS, and also Mario Kart Wii has Mario Raceway and all that stuff. And, well, we'll talk more on that until when we get to tomorrow's video per se, Sylvester, because let's get to the actual differences between the forms of the original counterparts of Toad's Turnpike than the likes of how it does it in the, well, between the originals and this version, is that, well, for one noticeable thing is of course the actual anti-gravity thing, that you can able to actually just drive onto the actual wall, and second of all is the fact that they're constantly spazzing out some more of those trick ramps, which depending on what vehicles you're going to be able to actually drive onto, and you can able to actually take a glide there, or even just manage to perform certain tricks on the actual surfing board, which I found is actually really cool. And usually I really enjoyed the actual going back into the forms of Toad's Turnpike from the forms of how it does in the original counterparts. Well, it might be pretty tricky sometimes though, although to make things a little bit easier is of course the actual control was the main thing, and also about the fact that I don't really think that the vehicles themselves aren't that hard to avoid, unless if you ever try to play as on mirror mode, which either way, we'll point things out whenever we get to the Mario Kart 64 Let's Play in the future. So either way, I think that pretty much takes care of the forms of every single track in the forms of the Shell Cup. So yeah, the reward ceremony for the Shell Cup in this particular Let's Play, oh, I almost thought that the game crashed for a moment, and it's going to take place in Cheep Beach, of course, and everything else to be expected. We actually did a pretty much a flawless run through of this entire cup. Hopefully we'll mention more details at some point in tomorrow, most notably with the 6th cup in Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, mind you, because there's still got a whole ways to go. But even then though, we only like get things started. Well, we're actually almost at the halfway point in a Grand Prix mode perspective here. And then after we're done with the Grand Prix, then we can move on to, of course, the battle mode. And then everything else will be, you know, just resignable. So, and we actually unlock a new vehicle customization option right there, which we'll point things out until tomorrow, as we said this before. So anyways, join us tomorrow for more of Let's Play of Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Is that we are going to be moving on to the 6th cup, as we said before, known as the Banana Cup. So see you guys tomorrow. Later, fellas.